This is the day 10 due now. It should be a review of the prior days, so day 9 packet. So if you have questions, you can always refer back to those notes. Let's go over the answers. List the 6 steps to solving an equation in order. So you can remember these steps with the abbreviation CDICIC. C. So I can get my pen here. Try again. I don't know where my pens are at. Just a second. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I lost my internet connection. Alright, the 6 steps are C, D, I, C, I, C. They stand for cross multiply, distribute, identify, as in identifying the terms. Those are your circles and your squares. Combine like terms. Isolate, as in isolating the variable from its coefficients. And finally, check. Questions 7 and 8 have to do with identifying what's wrong with the picture. So the problem has been done for you, and you have to identify what is wrong. They don't always ask what the correct answer is. They want to know what step was done incorrectly. This is a common question on the ECA. So the way I usually tackle this is I will do the problem on my own beside it and then compare the two to decide what step they did incorrectly. So in the first example, the question reads 2x plus 4 is equal to 10. So I need to solve this. Change colors here so you can see how I solve it. I do not need to cross multiply. I don't need to distribute. I do need to identify my terms. So here, oops. So here's my variable term, a constant, and another constant. And I know that I need my variables and my constants on the opposite sides of the equation from one another, so I do need to move that constant to this side with the other constant. Cross that off. And then I need to combine my like terms, so I should have 2x is equal to, well, 10 and negative 4 are opposite signs, so I have to subtract 6. And then my next step is to isolate my variable from its coefficient. The coefficient is 2, and it's beside it, so I have to divide it. So my final answer is x equals 3. Because the question wants to know what he did wrong, or in words explain what step was doing wrong, I cannot leave this as my final answer. On the ECA, they want a description, like in words, of what's wrong with the picture. So let's take a look. On the first step, it looks like Mr. Joe divided by 2. Well, that's a coefficient. We don't isolate our coefficient until after we combine like terms. See right here? So he did the steps out of order. Here he combined like terms, that C, and here he isolated. So they need to be switched around which steps you do when. So to answer this question, let me erase this so I have a place to write. So what you would write for your answer is, let me think how to word this. Okay, so this would be an acceptable answer. He should have combined like terms by subtracting 4 in the first step instead of dividing by 2. Yes, on a math ECA you have to write some sentences sometimes, so yes, you would have to write that all out, so that would be the best answer. If you have any questions about whether your answer would be accepted or if you would get even partial credit, feel free to ask an instructor. In question number 8, let's look at the steps. You see the parentheses, so you know you do need to use the distributive property, and they drew arrows showing that he used the distributive property. Let's see if he multiplied correctly. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x, so that's correct. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14, so that's correct, equals 14. So the first step he did correctly. Then it looks like they combined like terms, and they saw that this 14 constant right here needed to go to this other side. But look what they did there. Remember, when you cross those lines, you have to change the sign. So instead of subtracting 14 should have added 14. So the answer would be he should have added ed. $14 rather than subtract. Okay, and that explains what he did wrong. So that's the end of Do Now. Go ahead and continue to the front page to begin the lesson.